The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen. Many, many years ago lived an emperor who thought so much of new clothes that he spent all his money in order to obtain them. His only ambition was to always be well dressed. He did not care for his soldiers, and the theater did not amuse him. The only thing he thought of anything of was to drive out and show himself in his new suit of clothes. He had a coat for every hour of the day, and as one would say of a king, he is in his cabinet. What they meant was, the emperor is in his dressing room. The great city where he resided was very cheerful. Every day many strangers from all parts of the globe arrived. One day 2 swindlers came to this city. They made people believe that they were weavers, and declared they could manufacture the finest cloth to be imagined. Their colors and patterns, they said, were not only exceptionally beautiful, but the clothes made of their material possessed the wonderful quality of being invisible to any man who was unfit for his office or very stupid. That must be wonderful cloth, thought the emperor. If I were to be dressed in a suit made of this cloth, I should be able to find out which men in my empire were unfit for their places, and I could distinguish the clever from the stupid. And he gave a large sum of money to the swindlers in advance, that they should set to work without any loss of time. The swindlers set up their loom and pretended to be very hard at work, but they did nothing whatever on the looms. They asked for the finest silk and the most precious gold cloth. All they got they did away with, and worked at the empty looms till late at night. I should very much like to know how they're getting on with the cloth, thought the emperor, but he felt rather uneasy when he remembered that he who was not fit for his office could not see it. Personally, he was of the opinion that he had nothing to fear, yet he thought it advisable to send somebody else first to see how matters stood. Everybody in the town knew what a remarkable quality the stuff possessed, and all were anxious to see how bad or stupid their neighbors were. The emperor sent his oldest and most honest minister to be the judge. He is very intelligent, and nobody understands his office better than he does, thought the emperor. The good old minister went into the room where the swindlers sat before the empty looms. Heaven preserve us, he thought, and opened his eyes wide. I cannot see anything at all. But he did not say so. Both swindlers requested him to come near and examine the exquisite pattern and the beautiful color, pointing to the empty looms. The poor old minister tried his very best, but he could see nothing, for there was nothing to be seen. Oh dear, he thought, can I be so stupid? I should never have thought so, and nobody must know it. Is it possible that I am not fit for my office? No, no, I cannot say that I was unable to see the cloth. Now, have you got nothing to say? Said one of the swindlers, while pretending to be weaving. Oh, it is very pretty, exceedingly beautiful, replied the minister. What a beautiful pattern! What brilliant colors! I shall tell the emperor that I like the cloth very much. The emperor sent many courtiers to observe the cloth being made. None of them could see it, but they all came back to tell the emperor how exquisite it was. It was the talk of the town, this precious cloth. At last the emperor wished to see it himself while it was still on the loom. Is it not magnificent, your majesty? And they pointed to the empty loom, for they imagined the others could see the cloth. "What is this?" thought the emperor. "I do not see anything at all. That is terrible. Am I stupid? Am I unfit to be emperor? That would indeed be the most dreadful thing that could happen to me." "Really," he said, turning to the weavers, "your cloth has our most gracious approval." And the emperor left the room. "It is magnificent and beautiful and excellent," one heard them say. Everybody seemed to be delighted, and the emperor appointed the two swindlers imperial court weavers. The whole night previous to the day in which the procession was to take place, the swindlers pretended to work, and burned more than 16 candles. They pretended to take the cloth from the loom, and worked about in the air with big scissors, and sewed with needles without thread, and said at last, "The emperor's new suit is ready now." The swindler came into the great hall where the emperor was sitting. "These are your trousers, here is your cloak. They are as light as a cobweb, and one must feel as if one had nothing at all upon the body, but that is just the beauty of them." "Indeed!" shouted all the courtiers. "Does it please your majesty now to graciously undress?" asked the swindler, "that we may assist you, your majesty, in putting on your new suit before the large looking glass." The emperor stood to undress, and the swindlers pretended to put the new suit upon him, one piece after another, and the emperor looked at himself from the side in the glass. "How well they look! How well they fit!" everyone said. "What a beautiful pattern! What fine colors! This is the most magnificent suit of all." The master of the ceremonies announced that the bearers of the canopy, which was to be carried in the procession, were ready. "I am ready," said the emperor. "Does not my suit fit me marvelously?" Then he turned once more to the looking-glass, that people should think he admired his garments. The emperor marched in the procession under the beautiful canopy, and all who saw him in the street and out the windows exclaimed, "Indeed, the emperor's new suit is incomparable! How beautifully it fits him!" Nobody wished to let others know he saw nothing, for then he would have been unfit for his office or too stupid. Never emperor's clothes were more admired. "But he has nothing on at all," said a little child at last. "Good heavens! Listen to the voice of an innocent child," said the father, and one whispered to the other what the child had said. "He has nothing on at all," the whole people cried. That made a deep impression upon the emperor, for it seemed to him that they were right, but he thought to himself, "Now I must bear up to the end." And the chamberlains walked with still greater dignity, as if they carried the train of the emperor's cloak, which did not exist. The End. The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen.